The art community seems to have a lot of issues over what's considered theft and what isn't. Art style theft, pose theft, and other topics along those lines seem to be discussed a lot. I already went over art style theft 8 months ago, so now let's talk about pose theft. I used to follow an artist on DeviantArt who would always put "don't steal this pose, trace, or heavily reference this drawing" in all of their descriptions. Now, not wanting someone to trace your work or heavily reference one of your drawings is one thing. That's understandable, and a lot of people seem to confuse that with pose theft. However, pose theft in itself is kind of ridiculous. Listen, you can't steal or copyright human movement, and thinking that you're the first and only person to draw one particular pose is also very unreasonable. From my understanding, drawing and general pose ideas are formed in your mind based off of influence by something else, even if you aren't entirely sure where that influence is coming from. Influences like other drawings or music or things along those lines. Sometimes your mind can take mental snapshots of a drawing or a pose, and later on down the line you'll draw that thing without realizing where the idea came from. It's kind of hard to explain and put into words properly, but basically, technically nothing is original. Everything you make or do is influenced or inspired by something else, as I've mentioned before. And with that in mind, pose theft is ridiculous and, like art style theft, totally not real. Remember how I brought up tracing or heavily referencing earlier? This is what some people mistake pose theft for, or at least group pose theft in with. Tracing is taking a drawing produced by someone else and then drawing over it. It's not your work if it's traced. You can't legally own it. Heavily referencing, on the other hand, is drawing something on your own, however you're very closely following another drawing for reference. Both tracing and heavily referencing are when someone is intending on using another's work and not just the pose, the entire composition. So in that sense, pose theft and tracing/heavily referencing are completely different. Pose theft never sounded all that real or threatening to me. It was more so about quote-unquote stealing human movement rather than drawings in themselves. Thinking that you own a human movement and that no one else before you has ever drawn that same pose is kinda ridiculous and entitled. So for the rest of the video, I'm going to talk about where to find references for posing and examples of referencing in the media. Actually, really quick before we go on, let me go off script real fast. I mentioned heavily referencing earlier in this video, and I just wanted to clarify that I don't think that it's bad in every single case. Like, I myself have promoted, like, trying to draw in other people's art styles, or, like, trying to draw something influenced off of their work, because that's just how you grow and mature as an artist. And heavily referencing something to practice, or, like, to practice another drawing and, like, drawing style, and then, like, getting out of your comfort zone, I don't think that's bad, especially, like, as long as you credit the artist if you decide to post it, or just, like, or maybe if you want clarification, like, ask the artist first before you go ahead and heavily reference one of their things. There are a lot of free apps available that you can use for posing in perspective, and no, none of these are sponsored. The only one that I've actually used myself is an app called Make a Pose, which takes a moment to figure out, but once you do, it's really helpful. Try skimming through the App Store for posing or figure apps, and I'm sure that one of them will be really helpful. You can also get a figure doll at your local crafts store as well for referencing. But what if you don't have a phone or you're too lazy to look around? Well, there are a lot of popular reference accounts on DeviantArt that you can use for poses as well, the most popular probably being Senshi Stock. And probably the best option in my opinion is just make the reference yourself. Take a picture of yourself doing the pose that you're trying to achieve, or get someone to help you take the picture. This is a great option for when you can't find the pose that you're looking for anywhere, and is a lot easier than skimming around the internet for hours while trying to find what you're looking for. And now, finally, let's talk about referencing in the media, just to help normalize referencing even more, since some people are scared of referencing because of the stigma around pose theft and all the aforementioned topics. One of the best examples that I can think of would be pretty much all of the classic Disney cartoons. The majority of these films are referenced by using live actors who filmed specific parts so the animators could get the posing right. The pre-production shots for Alice in Wonderland were really cool because they just commissioned a huge set for the actress to just walk around in. The majority of Snow White was also done this way, as well as some shots for Sleeping Beauty. Referencing isn't something to be ashamed of, and it's very helpful for accuracy. Most of the animated scenes in these movies at the time were unthinkable on their own. However, referencing with live actors made those incredible shots achievable. Without referencing, none of the aforementioned films would have been nearly as believable and accurate with their shots, and they also potentially wouldn't have been nearly as successful as a result. Nearly as successful, oh my god. So yeah, pose theft is total bogus and is probably one of the most petty issues I've came across in the art community. Stealing is one thing, but trying to claim human movement is another, more ridiculous subject. You can't own movement, man, I'm sorry. As always, if there's anything that I've missed, feel free to let me know in the comments, or if you yourself have any advice along the lines of this topic that I didn't cover, everything is appreciated, and I'll see you in the next video.